Before I say anything, I want to thank Aishi, Radu, Lykan and Raella. I used part of their YouTube footage to illustrate my video. General presentation and fight preparation. Tahabata is the final boss of rank S Dark Poeta and is the only boss to drop eternal weapons before 2.0. Is level 50 and has 1.5 million HP. It can be met after entering the portal, which spawns after killing Annuard Brigade General and lasts 5 minutes. So if you want to take a break, do it before. This is what happens if you wait too long. Many of Tahabata's attacks are fire-based and deal quite a lot of damage. The first struggle of this fight will be to survive it, and bringing fire resist can mitigate more than you think. Your cleric and your chanter can already give you a good amount with those skills. From what I've seen, fire resist can only be found on accessories. Here is a list of the most easy to get and that still provide useful stats for the fight. A rank boss drops a blue hat with fire resistance. I put the helm over the other one, even for close, because of the extra HP. Positioning. As you can see, Tahabata does a lot of random aggro during the whole fight, and many of his skills are AoE. Notice how Aishi's group is positioned. I've screenshotted the fighting platform from above to go more into details. Get out of the area outlined in green and you'll take damage from lava. It's around 3k per tick. This is the expected spread for any group. The main tank, usually a Sin, should be in a corner. The two melee or close range classes should be in the close corners. Templar, gladiator, ranger with bestial fury, or even a chanter if your group has 2 mages. The close should be on the opposite side of the Sin, using its 25 meter range at its full potential. The cleric stands in the middle of everyone for easy party heals, assisted in this task by the chanter who should be on this side. The shown spots are default position people should go to when Tahabata is casting skills to avoid. The rest of the time you should of course be in range of the mob to hit it. Let me explain the reason behind this positioning. First, the random aggro can be an AoE. Spreading means only one person gets hit, so you should always try to be 5 meters away from anyone. Second, Taha does a lot of 10 meters AoE around him. Some can be deadly, and this setup avoids any trouble. Make sure it's always the case, even when Tahabata moves, or else bad things can happen. The best proof is that it even happened to me in A rank because I was too busy trying to get a good shot at the platform for this video. In some cases, Taha will refuse to follow the tank. In this case, try to reposition the group accordingly. Improvise, adapt, overcome. Skills. Strike down with anger. Taha flies and lands. A 5k damage on everyone. It's not avoidable and it triggers anti-shock. Explosion of Wrath. 3k damage, 10 meters AoE. It also fears. If someone is feared, Taha gets a shield. It's dispellable by a SM. It can be resisted using focus evasion or aether twisting. Eruption of Power. 2k damage, 10 meters AoE. If someone is hit, Taha gets a 400% reflect. It's dispellable by a SM. It can be resisted using focus evasion or aether twisting. Soul Petrify. It's paralyzed in AoE around the target. Destroy Frozen Soul. It one-shots anyone paralyzed. Phases. The fight has 4 phases, not exactly split into 25%. Each new phase begins when Tahabata casts a spell he never casted before. Phase 1 begins with Strike Down with Anger. Phase 2 begins with Explosion of Wrath. Phase 3 is Eruption of Power. And Phase 4 begins with Soul Petrify. During phase 1, until 80% remaining, you should make sure your tank builds enough aggro to keep it during the whole fight. This sentence is very important if your tank is a scene. Strike down with anger is used every minute by Tahabata and is the only real problem you should have. If the tank can survive this plus 2 hits, he has enough HP to tank the whole fight. During phase 2, from 80 to 55%, the boss will cast Explosion of Wrath every 50 seconds. Any melee DPS should make sure to run away to avoid this. This will be the easiest phases of all. Starting from this point, Taha will cast Explosion of Wrath during the whole fight, even in phase 3 and 4. You will no longer see Strike Down with anger though. Your chanter should pop WoW after the first eruption of power, which is also the beginning of phase 3. Phase 3 is between 55 and 30%. A wave of adds will come after each eruption of power. They last 20 seconds and explode before disappearing. The Templar should take them on him, helped by the chanter if needed, and lead them away from the cleric. Do not blow big defensive CD for these. Eruption of power will come every 50 seconds. I've had a run where it took too long and Taha casted Strike Down with anger during this phase, so be careful. During phase 4, you're in a DPS race. Tahabata will do this loop. Soul Petrify into Destruction of Soul twice, and then Explosion of Wrath thrice. After the last Explosion of Wrath, a wave of adds will spawn. This loop means two things. After the first Soul Petrify, you have around 30 seconds to deal as much damage as you can with your full group before you get adds. You will get a new wave of adds every 50 seconds. Adds are not killable in under 50 seconds and cannot be hindered. No fear, no blind, no slow. And you'll soon be overwhelmed. You have to ignore them and burst the boss. Remember that Tahabata will continue its random aggro all fight long, and that's usually a cause of wipe. If he decides to come melee with your cleric to cast Explosion of Wrath, which is a fear, and cleric doesn't run away to avoid it, you're pretty much dead. For maximum efficiency, the chanter should use World of Quickness as the ad spawns. It will help caster do damage and help the cleric heal. Templar should expect to get at least 2 waves of adds on him, so avoid using all CD for the first one, except if you feel you'll die if you don't. Frequent causes of failure. Someone dies in phase 1 to strike down with anger and a hit. This just means he is not ready to fight Tahabata yet. Work on your HP or fire resistance. The group doesn't let Assassin hold aggro enough, which causes him to trade aggro with someone else later in the fight. This causes Tahabata to run around and cast AoE in the middle of everyone, and it will surely end badly. The cleric prioritizes group heal to keeping the tank full HP, ending in the tank dying early. As long as your tank is alive, DPS dying is not a serious threat to success. If anything, it resets their aggro. DPS don't run away fast enough from Tahabata when he casts AoE, causing all kinds of stuff I've explained before. You should always have run scroll up and turn the camera to be ready to run away as soon as possible.